Sorry, don't worry. Don't try to turn your volume up and think it's at your end. It's us. We're now getting ready to start. Nigel Eliakim, he's with us this evening. I'm trying to get it right. We'll be right back with Straight Up on 107.1 FM with African descent, Guyanese of African descent. Nigel is with us. We'll be right back.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have figured the wrong.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good night. It's Friday. It's 9 minutes after 9 o'clock. My name is Mark Benshop, and we're going to rock and roll for about an hour. I have with me no stranger, absolutely no stranger, Apostle Nigel. You like him. Nigel, whether you like him or you not, he is Nigel. You like him. He is with us this evening. But just in case you're hungry, and it's hunger is not something that we make any mockery of. I noticed that there are some nimakaram, some individuals who should not be given any space on whether you call it what is it, a microphone, but these days anything goes with the PPP. Anything goes with a ride, as some sort of reggae song would say. Anything goes with a ride, right? Is that what it is? But so this is what Priya Manik Chand, This is what they're feeding the children. We don't know whether this cereal, it looks expired if you ask me, because there are some folks who are bringing these things into Guyana, expired products. They remove it out of the original container and they put it in this little plastic container, and they're just contracted through the Ministry of Education, hundreds of millions of dollars in contract, and this is what they're doing. Shame on Priya Manik-Chan. Shame on the corrupt, racist PPP regime. Apostle, good night and welcome to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. You're no stranger, you're family to us here at 107.1. First, let's begin. Good night and welcome.
Greetings to you and to those who are viewing, those who are listening as well. Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join you, and I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity.
And I thank you. I don't know. I have you down as the last minute guest.
So
wait until 10 minutes before the show and say, hey, let's go rock and roll. But thank you so much as always. One of these good days, I'll invite you 1 hour in advance, 2 days in advance. We'll get to that point.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. What's your take on this here, the cereal?
I would like to ask what is left for me or us as Guyanese to see be done to our children at the hands of this cabal and this regime. We have to, or we should, I would advise, pay attention to who or how the PPP civic, I don't see anything civic about them, but how they view children who are in need of this meal. And as long as we have an honest discussion as to how they see our children in this country, then you'll realize that they would serve them just about anything, because they are seen as poor little nobodies who are unfit to be in the same circle as Priya's child or Barrett doesn't have any, so, or whoever has a child in their circle. So because these children do not belong in the class of these wannabe elites, they would give our children just about anything. What concerns me is the apparent unresponsiveness, or the expected responsiveness, I should say, the lack of it by parents and others. This is it should go beyond just being revealed here. Why would you give a child these little colored cereal when it's actually, in many cases, deemed to be unhealthy for them? That's one. And look at you could see it's just something just thrown in a bowl. They ran out of ideas maybe, or they decided that it's cheaper to do this and take maybe 90% of what the contract, the person's contracted to do this would be paid.
And you know, one of the things that we're hearing, Apostle, from some folks who are connected to the Ministry of Education is that they're targeting with these allegations that this particular brand of cereal is expired, and they're targeting predominantly African Guyanese communities. Of
Right.
course, we know those schools, the ethnic makeup, and they are targeting those schools to give them these allegations, mind you, these expired cereal. Your take on that allegation?
I would not be surprised by it, because I have seen what they've offered here right in Linden. I know anywhere else. A sausage, a hot dog, they call it. I call it a hot puppy. But it was just slapped together. You could see that this is just a piece of, as if it's just taken out of the rescued from the garbage somewhere and given to a child. It was bad, and I have the evidence on my phone. I changed phone now, so I know which one of the phones is on. But it was there, and I was shocked to see that this is what they gave to our children. Again, I say, if I were a parent and my son would have had to have that, I'd have objected publicly. But something seems to be amiss here, because what they're feeding our children in this program is telling the child and telling the parents whose children are involved in this that whatever we give to you, you have to take because you're poor and you can do better. So I would put nothing beyond what these people do to our children, because they just don't care about them. Of course, you see what's happening with the teacher situation. They really don't care about our children. Honestly, they don't.
You know, Apostle, and this is a question that we'd like Priya Manik-Chan to answer, whether these products, especially the cereal, and we're looking at this one here, my kids, my children, they love this sort of flavored sort of cereal, but it doesn't look like this. It looks this that we're looking at on the screen. It looks mildew. It looks something isn't right. And so the question to Priya Manik Chan is: are these products, are they expired products who that are being removed from the boxes, original boxes, and put into these containers? We have word allegation that is that these products are expired, and something
Or
that Priya Manik Chan needs to respond to. Go ahead,
yeah, or if
Apostle.
I may, what it could also be, because I saw that my son, I think it's Fruit Loops they call it. My son, he loved the right.
Yeah.
And what I found when I went in certain stores is that they're what we call knockoffs. So some of them it looks maybe like plastic or something. Um, so there's not the original one. So they have many varieties of variants of this thing or renderings of it. Of course, cost very little. So this seems to be one that's either expired or maybe just a little knocked together junkyard production that's here before us now. Either way, the appearance of it is suspect. And again, I say, when I saw what they offer the children here at, I think it would have been, they call it Scheme School in Linden, I was horrified to know that this is what these people give to our children for breakfast in this program. So this has to be investigated. Of course, I would not expect Rita to come out to say that it's expired, but she would launch an attack at you or me and say that we're racist because we talk about cereal. That's the kind of intellectual capacity I would credit her with having.
And the schools that are targeted heavily, predominantly African Guyanese community. And read between the lines there. Allegations, mind you, allegations that this particular product is expired. I noticed there's a parent here, Apostle. I'm trying to look for the comment so there's a Diane Grave Sandy is saying here, I told my grand not to take any snacks from your school, not to
Good.
take any snacks from the school. This is how a lot of parents are feeling because kids are eating this sort of thing that's being provided through the Ministry of Education and they're not feeling well after.
Right.
Could it possibly be the expired product? Allegations of expired
Mhm.
product.
More than
Apostle,
likely. More than
you've been
likely.
teaching for many, many years. Have you seen these sort of questionable acts?
No, I have not. I have never seen them. And while I was teaching, I've never allowed it to happen. I think I would ask our teachers to be a lot more vocal. You have social media platforms, and I was never afraid of victimization, so maybe that's why it didn't happen. Because I would have, as they would say, raised hell if I see this coming to my school. First of all, I need to know where it came from. What's the packaging? What Because you should not just have little containers being brought into the school, especially things like cereal, looking at that state and don't question it. So I'm happy the parents have begun to tell their children do not use it because children indeed may get ill, and that's a sign. A telltale sign of eating expired food is that you get upset stomach, indigestion of some sort, diarrhea, something. So that's a sign. Again, I look forward to Priya saying that we're racist for talking about cereal.
Yeah, well, it's that. Of course, that's the likes of Priya Manik Chan. Anything of that nature, trying to sensitize the public, it's always racism on their
Right.
silly part. We want the kids to remain healthy, and let's look at some of the comments. How many of you agree that this product in this, whether it's Fruit Loop or whatever it is that what you call it? Fruit Loop, not Fruit,
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
And
Yeah,
then the knockoffs have all kinds of names now. Fruit of the
lots and
Loops or
lots of them.
Loops, Fruit Oops. So we don't know which one it
What,
is.
what message you have for parents watching right now, Apostle?
Say it again, please.
What's the message you have for parents watching this and looking at the serial right now?
They should be very careful, and parents, I would advise to be very careful as to what your child consumes. Because when a child goes to school and they fed these things, they would come home and you'd have to deal with them. I would like for you to be more alert, pay visits if you have to school during this time. You can seek representatives in reference to your class groups to examine what the children are being fed and make it known. That's the other thing you should do, as some parents are doing. You publicize it that this is what they're giving to our children at X school in whatever district it is, so that we can gather, those of us who pay attention, we can gather information as to what is really happening in certain communities. because I would like to think that this may not be given to students in certain other areas. And so we need to be on top of this. And parents, I would also advise you to let your children know, as that parent said, tell your child not to eat it. If it doesn't meet a certain standard that you know is healthy for them, tell the child, do not take it, or take it and bring it home so you can see what it is.
Absolutely. Do not eat it. Do not eat it, guys. Do not eat it. But take a look. Let's take a look at this. I just had to go and this is out of the box, right? I want the parents to see the difference. This is out of the box.
Right.
Check, and the box is not expired. And take a look at this carefully as we take a look at this here. Let's take a look at that in the box and take a look at this. Do you see the difference?
That's Fruit Loops.
Yeah. Take a look at this. All right. You guys got the message. Be careful because this appears to be unhealthy for your children. As we look at some of the comments, and welcome all of you, Miss Beard, Miss Faria, and Jean Noble, and all of you guys. Good night, and welcome to Straight Up with me. I actually I have to ask for forgiveness because I asked the apostle to be on just for a couple of minutes. Just
That's
for a
okay.
couple.
I'm here with you.
Thank
I'm
you
here.
so much. What's the situation with the flooding in Linden? We have not seen any government official there in Linden talking about compensation or anything for the people. What's going on?
I was out of town for the past 3 or 4 days, but before I left, I know that Mark Phillips would have made his way here. He would have been sent. And the others, I think Edgel came after I did the broadcast on Nicodoc. I was told by some residents there that they were in the community, laying pipes and so on. Because of course, with this group, they prefer to give some contractor who's on their side, of course, and who's acquiescing to them, give them a contract, a few $1 million to lay a few pipelines, but they would not give the residents of the community anything in reference to financial compensation. I'm yet to hear about it. Maybe it's in the pipeline somewhere, but I have not heard of that. I know of one instance where an individual is a migrant. Her home has been about 4 feet of water in Nicodoc. She has not said whether she was given or she was. I'm aware that she was not offered anything in terms of compensation. And so, unlike those who in the Beast and other places who will receive, I think it's 1 point something billion altogether for flood relief. There's nothing called flood relief in Linden. There are places where a person, one lady said her car was swimming, and I understand what was meant by that. They have nothing to get because the PPP will label this as an act of God. Not in Berbice, in Linden, it's an act of God. So you have nothing to get in Region 10.
And
What I
how
know
does
some
this
person got was bleach.
go ahead?
Sorry, they gave something. I saw the
Bleach.
Prime Minister representative giving a bottle of bleach, a hamper, bleach and soap powder. So clean your house. That's the compensation you get.
A bottle of bleach and a little bit of soap powder, probably expired soap powder as well. And there's something that what was it called? Jades fluid. Is
J's
that what
fluid.
they?
J's fluid.
Shame on the PPP regime. Shame on them. And you see how quickly Irfan Ali rushed up to Monrepo to hug up and kiss up Auntie, who claimed that she lost $1 million worth of Polori. So you see, you guys, you see the difference. And these are the vagabonds in the PPP who love to jump up and care and say that they care about the people of Linden. And look what happened. Not a word about compensation. But they sent 2 Pakus out there, Mark Phillips and what's the other Paku name you mentioned?
Edgel.
Oh, yes. I'm glad that you acknowledge that he's a Paku. So it was 2 Pakus out there who do not have what it takes to talk about compensation for the people. But watch what's going to happen within maybe a couple of days. They might send Paku Jagdeo and Paku Irfan Ali might rush up there to take photographs. But what are the people out in Linden? What are they saying? Because this is pretty obvious how they're being neglected by the people in the PPP, that is. What are they saying?
It is obvious, and some of them are willing to speak about what's happening, while others are a bit more controlled and trying to say, well, they would hope that the relevant authorities would look into this situation And I would like to at this time even encourage my fellow Lindeners and those of Region 10, do not reduce how you speak because you have a need. Say the truth that you would expect, not you would like to have anything. You would expect that in the same manner that those in Region 6 would have been treated in reference to flood relief, you would get the same thing. It is not that you would hope that somebody will pay attention. You're not begging for anything. It is your right. If the PPP decides to show up in the person of Barrett, Jagdi, or Irfanali, or any one of them, they will not give you any money from Freedom House. They're giving you money from the Treasury, which is our money. So let us be clear that you are making a legitimate and lawful demand that you should receive that which is called due compensation, or I should say relief, not compensation. And in some cases, it should be compensation because of neglect. So maybe I should say compensation because they refused to have certain drainage systems cleared and functioning the way it should, and hence the water just filled into certain communities and flooded them out. So that should be, you should sue them if you ask me.
It's not surprising that they're so quiet. They left the people out in Linden on their own. The people have lost in probably value about over 150, maybe $200 million, because when you check all the dozens of residents that got their homes, their bottom houses, everything flooded, their television set, their furniture, every
Everything.
single thing. And what about their livestock? Are you hearing about that? Chicken farms.
I know some cash crop farms that have been affected in West Watuka. There's one image of a man wading through the water on his farm, and West Watuka is where my farm is. But fortunately, I don't have any animals on the farm at this time. But the residents there, some of them have been really affected because West Watuka is a swamp, and the soil type of gas will just hold water for a long time. So when it rains heavily, our farms get flooded very quickly. I have not heard of relief. Sherry Fife is the one who represents the PPP in that area. Um, I would like to think that she'd be able to call Barrett and others to ensure that the people are taken care of, but it seems as if she's losing her stripes at this time. But I know for sure that I have not heard of farmers and so on in this area speaking to there being relief given to them to the tune of anything that resembles that Ember base. And I don't expect it to happen. That's what I'm saying, that they should come forward and demand that it should happen.
They just don't care about the people of Linden. They don't care about the people of Guyana. And more so, if you happen to be of African descent, they just don't give a rat's you know what about those folks. Not so long, couple days ago, Apostle, sugar workers decided to put up some placards, and they went on strike for one day, not more than 2 hours, and the PPP responded immediately to their concerns. The teachers, 50 plus days now, they've been on strike, and not a word, not a word, not a positive word from the corrupt and racist PPP regime, just like they're silent in terms of compensation for the people of Linden. And we know why, because of the majority of those folks are of African descent. But yet the sugar workers, less than 1 hour they pick up placard, and the PPP already settled with them. But they can't settle with the teachers, and they can't settle with the people of Linden. Your take, Apostle.
Well, I remember, I think it would have been the president of Gabu. He boasted that in 2023, I think it would have been, or before that, he would have engaged and caused, I think, on 12 or more occasions, there to be a response from the administration. Hence, he said, GTU may not be doing the right thing. No, GTU have the wrong skin. And they're not doing the right thing. They have the wrong hair texture, maybe. Because what's happening here is you're seeing that Guy Suko has got yet again a failing industry. Mind you, according to what Priya confesses, the teachers are not failing because Guyana tops CSEC, and in her reasoning, that's the best thing that could ever happen. She doesn't care about what grades you have in the hinterland regions and so on. But teachers aren't failing according to Priya's confession. They're doing very well, and they're really making a sacrifice for our children. But now, you see that Guy Suko can have this great benefit while our Guyana Teachers Union suffers across the board. And this should cause alarm in the minds of every sensible and honest Guyanese. Why would the PPP pump money into a failing sugar industry? It has been failing. and neglect what they, through their Minister of Education, aim to be successful, which is the the teachers across our country, is because the teachers are predominantly African Guyanese, African descendants. It's a fact. And until they prove it wrong, it will remain a fact. And they cannot prove it wrong. Jagdio was saying, I think I saw something where he is even reiterating that they are appealing this matter, and he can't wait to ensure that teachers' pay is cut. That's all his focus is on right now, that he's going to ensure that those who are not in the classroom will not receive pay. So if they remain on strike for 2 months or 3 months, he wants to guarantee that they will not be paid 3 months' salary. When the sugar workers can come out and strike for 1 day and they receive pay without, by the way, any repercussions, without there being any negative impact on their livelihood. Teachers, on the other hand, if you strike, they're going to cut your pay if they have a chance to do so.
Not only that, Apostle Sarda, they're going to say that it's politically motivated.
Yes. Coretta McDonald, of course, will be brought to the table again.
Yet the General Secretary of GAU, the head of GAU, is a PPP, and not only just a PPP, he's a PPP member of Parliament. So isn't this GAU strike political?
No, it's not political, because Bauer doesn't understand the difference between the two, apparently. And it's just a tragedy in our country to have the likes of this man who's at the helm. He's even suggesting that they're considering e-schooling. I thought Priya said they'd be learning laws if people are not in class. These people are dense beyond repair, and I've lost any hope in them being redeemed. Because Priya said that during the COVID time, as they call it, there's learning loss because they're not in school. Now Bart is saying they're considering investing in e-learning, electronic learning, where you stay home, you don't go to school, but there'll be no learning loss in this case because Bar suggested it. These people are daft beyond
is another corruption, because they're going to have to bring all these computers in, laptop computers. They're going to deliver it to each child and household. It's a way to thieve money from taxpayers. That's what it is all about.
Most definitely.
You know, if you're now joining us, I'm Mark Benchop, along with Apostle Nigel Eliakim. Eliakim is with us, and you like that? You like him, right? I got it. Finally, you can tell it took me a few lashes before I find him. You like him. We got it. So let's go to Berbice, and right away, as soon as those cane harvesters, those cane cutters went out, and they start make some noises, and they said, well, look, they got to be treated properly. Guess what happened? Let's go straight. I hope if you can interpret it for our listeners, I'll be grateful.
I'll try.
The guy that is talking to them is the regional vice chair. Regional vice chair. Let's listen.
If the man again, you're lucky and kind again. But you can't say that all who get problem again. People who get affected again. Some people get too skullduggery. You understand? Don't give a man go mad shit 10 times a day and pray. I'm going to check how many he has. You follow man, Joe. Hey, you follow man. You follow man. I'm going to tell you. The thing is that when I check how many front up, he collect a check. You know what? Man, look, man, when I get damage here, you understand? And the guard make the man get a check. So the man was lucky to get.
Zaval inspector talk today. Inspector talk today. Say come inside before you get knocked down. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You all right?
Yeah, man.
Tell Ram you thank for me.
You don't bring it around. This is not to do with politics, boy. This is not people human lives.
What do you mean US to get there?
Eh?
$1 million US, the man get?
Which one?
What you been telling me?
Which one? Let me tell you.
Ramjatan.
Let me tell you where you put me in a spot. Where you tell you put me in a spot? Me not set up like that, why? You not get me. I you look after the farmers, I look after Ramjatan. Why look after Ramjatan for? The farmers you gotta look after. Cash crop and farmers, rice farmers. It's your friends, family, and favorites. I get benefit to this government. If you want put this thing, but look me start me up.
So you heard, yeah, that's the regional vice chairman. His name is Jamal Hussein, a PPP. You understood something that he was saying there, man? Oh, man, talk like how they might attack a quarantine. Yeah. And he's saying to those people, imagine he's bringing, these guys introduced, you heard him, what he talk about, who are go masjid and who not go masjid.
Right.
Saying to them that he a full of man. He a full of man. And that's we know Fuller is a different thing out in Nigeria and so forth. But back at my time on the quarantine, to call somebody who practices Islam, to call him Fuller, it was meant derogatory. But here, this vice chairman is saying to sugar harvesters that me a full man, me a full man, me a full man. So you see the race that they bring into the politics, and just imagine why they are treating the people of Linden the way they are treating them. Full of man. Race and religion is big for the PPP. What's your take on those people?
It is, and he was saying that if somebody goes to masjid 10 times a day, a man of time, and he comes back and there's a check being handed to him because he got relief before, he put his hand and say he got it, and God would have given it to him. So he was happy to speak to the dishonesty that seems to permeate that environment, and it's just sad and tragic to know how happy he was to say it. And this is Guyana's new reality. In certain circles, people are happy to say how they can cheat the system, how they can scheme and scam and skim money away from the treasury, and feel happy to know that they can get it done. While in other communities, persons have to be as circumspect as ever, in hoping that somebody, as they would deem it to be from the relevant authorities, would come here and render them some degree of relief. So in Region 6, they seem to have the right to take as much money as they can, while in Region 10, especially Linden, the town, people have to be hoping for help and hoping for assistance when this flood hit us so hard, not because of our neglect, but because in many instances, very critical drainage structures, I say again, infrastructure was neglected, not by us. And here we have to suffer the hand of this nonsense. While these people could enjoy multiple benefits and repeated benefits, as I say, dipping quite often into the cookie jar, and they're happy to announce that they're full of man. If I would hope that you can say that you objected that terminology, but that fellow seemed happy to call himself a fuller. And Fulani, as Mr. Benchop was saying, was very, very derogatory to call him that.
Yeah, Fulani indeed. And notice here Bilal Mohammed, and assalamu alaikum to you, Bilal, saying the original Fulanis are from Africa. And this guy, is just not a Fulan, but yet he's comfortable saying he's a Fula man. He's a Fula man, And where's the ERC in all of this? This is supposed to be a politician that is out there, not just playing the race card, but is pondering to his fellow Muslims, so to speak. Full man. You were saying something.
Yeah, because he's seeking as well, if those who may not be aware, he's in my view, he's seeking to connect himself to Irfan Ali because there's a division within PPP that I've become aware of, where the Hindus, and it's happened across in Guyana, it's known. Hindus and Muslims really don't get along too well. And that goes all the way to Indian-Pakistan conflict and so on. So when he stands to say he's a full man and he has the confidence, that goes through Irfan, because I've met people who've spoken to me about the responsibility that Irfan has to them since he is Muslim. Well, he should be practicing one. I don't know how much he practices. But at the end of the day, this is what we're getting. So there seems to be a religious connection now. If I'm in that circle, then I'm good. And there is talk, even in Linden, that if you are not a Muslim, you have nothing to get.
Some
That's new to
nothing,
that's a new thing
nothing
here.
to get, nothing to get, and that is why I think in some particularly heavily concentrated African Guyanese community, they're going about rounding up these youngsters and converting them,
Yeah.
promising them, giving them cars and giving them guns
Right.
to be bodyguards and security guards to them. And the guys left from a Clapham church, so to speak, or a 7 Days Adventist, and the next month they coming back in the community saying Salam Alaikum.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not saying that saying Salam Alaikum is bad, but the nefarious or the evil intention of some of these guys who convert young African Guyanese brothers and sisters, we have to look into. And I say this not out of disrespect, Bilal Mohammed. Please understand where I'm coming from, sir, and all of our other Muslim brothers and sisters who are watching tonight's show. They are converting these young black guys, young African Guyanese, not for any good purpose, but for basically to become watchmen and give them guns and all these sort of things. That is what they're doing in Guyana. You're shaking your head. A lot of those things out there in Linden?
It is, and I'm speaking to what's happening in Linden, because they target the oppressed communities, and they would know the power of doing so. Because when you target an oppressed youth and you say to him, you can have a job, you can have education for free, you can have cars, you can have so many things.
A gun.
You can have of course, protection, as they call it, or strap. But the only condition is that you have to be a Muslim. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing many young men who dashing to the mosque. And then I heard reports, and I heard firsthand that this is why, because they would not get certain jobs. And some of them think they're getting a contract, and they're getting a contract, getting a chance to work with someone who has one.
Yep. And you know, I have heard situations, some guys, whether in Linden or wherever, they would boast and brag, hey, I just get me gun license, boy. I couldn't get it under the PMC, but look, I get me gun license here. Yep. They don't know exactly what the PPP set them up, or someone connected to the PPP set them up to do. That at some point in time, they got to use that gun. They got to use that gun. You know what I mean by that. But
I do.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for those, we're looking at the time. This guy, Apostle, this guy, the vice chairman, the regional vice chairman, Zamal Hussein, who say, Yafola man. Let's take a look at him again.
If the man again, you're lucky and kind again. But you can't say that all who get problem again. People who get affected here. Some people get too skullduggery. You understand? Don't give a man go mad shit 10 times a day and pray. I'm going to check how many he has. You follow man. You follow man, Joe. Hey, you follow man. You follow man. I'm going to tell you. The thing is that when I check.
So the Muslim brother there took offense to what he said. People are going to 10 times and them are collecting, them are taking donkey. Donkey, you guys know what donkey means, right? Donkey. And I'm surprised because quarantine, that's how I used to attack years ago. We still attack like that quarantine, right? But he said donkey, and he said folaman. In other words, he's trying to say that the Muslim folks go to masjid, and this is what they do. That they come out and they corrupt the system. That is what he is saying. But nobody's going to pick that up. Nobody's going to pick that up. But that guy, Apostle, this is what happened not so long ago. Let's take a look. His name is Zamal Hussein. He's a vice regional chairman of Region 6. Take a look at this headline. Not so long ago. This is it. This is the guy. This is the guy. Police still awaiting legal advice on fatal accident involving Region 6 vice chairman. No charges. Struck a guy down. Killed a guy. No charges. No nothing. Nothing. Are you surprised? That's the same. Sorry, that's the same regional chairman, same man who attacked there, who say you full a man, struck down a man, killed a man. Probably, I don't know whether he was under the influence of alcohol or what. I don't know, but this is what he did, and this is what the according to this is what the DPP is doing also. Police still awaiting legal advice on fatal accident involving Region 6 regional chairman. Are you listening again? That's the guy. Apostle, you're not surprised, right?
No, I'm not. Given who the director of public prosecution is, I'm not surprised. And given the fact that there's a track record seems to be building here in reference to how Ali Haq is functioning. I am disappointed that she's allowed to be there for so long, because I've still continue to make a call in reference to the PPP's arm, or with whoever arm it has to be, to have this woman removed. I say again, she is a direct threat to the judicial, the confidence I have in the judiciary. This is ridiculous. And the police are awaiting legal advice on a fatal accident. Had it been me or some other Guyanese, would they still be awaiting legal advice when somebody's been struck and killed? I mean, I don't know the circumstances surrounding the situation, but there should have been advice a very long time ago. But he announced again, to those of you paying attention, he announced his religious grouping or association. He made it known. It is known in many circles that you are supposed to protect your brother if he is Muslim. That's taught. You are not allowed to publicly criticize your brother, but you're allowed to encourage him to do good. Now, this seems to be a bit too far-reaching in reference to Guyana's experience. I don't see what they have to wait for in reference to this situation. Maybe Ali Haq can issue a statement as to why the police are still waiting for legal advice, because Guyanese, I'd like to inform you that the legal advice comes from the Director of Public Prosecution. She has to give the advice as to what happens to this vice chairman.
All right, and this is the same vice chair who is mounting off there. He was talking to the cane harvesters, as we knew it, cane cutters, those of you who just joined. Take a listen to this video here, please. Again, this is the guy. Police still awaiting legal advice on fatal accident involving Region 6 vice chair who struck a man down, killed that guy. We don't know whether this guy who claims to be a Fola man, whether he was driving under the influence or not.
If the man again, you're lucky and kind again. But you can't say that all who get problem again. People who get affected again. Some people get too skullduggery. You understand? Don't give a man go mad shit 10 times a day and pray. I'm going to check how many he has. You follow man, Joe. Hey, you follow man. You follow man. I'm going to tell you. The thing is that when I check how many front up, he collect a check. You know what? Man, look, man, when I get damage here, you understand? And the guard make the man get the check. So the man was lucky to get.
Zaval inspector talk today. Inspector talk today. Say come inside before you get knocked down. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You all right?
Yeah, man.
Tell Ramjatan for me.
You don't have to bring it around. This is not with politics, boy. This is people human lives.
What do you mean US to get there?
Eh?
What million US the man get?
Which one?
What you been tell me?
Which one? What me tell you?
Ramjatan.
What me tell you? Where you put me in a spot? Where tell you put me in a spot? Me not set up like that, boy. You don't get me. I look after the farmers. I look after Ramjatan. Why look after Ramjatan for? The farmers.
So you heard the guy. Stop talking about Ramjatan.
Right.
Look after the farmers. Don't look after Ramjatan. And this was in Blackbush Polder, right? Rice farmers, they were protesting flooding due to pump at Adventure under construction. Over 2 years now, and nearly $1 billion. Up to now, that project at Adventure under quarantine cannot be concluded. But yet he's talking about Ramjatan and blame Ramjatan and so forth. We have a few minutes remaining, Apostle. Go ahead.
Well, I whenever I hear of these situations, with each passing day, I'm wondering When would our Guyanese brothers and sisters across the ethnic divide realize the detriment that the PPP poses to our nation and any bad governance? Please don't tell me that I'm not saying PNC are, because they're not the government. They're not in charge of the administration. They are part of the governance of the country, but they're not the administrative arm of our country. And we must see things for what they really are. These people are functioning in a manner that is totally unhealthy for our society. It is ridiculous. And persons are becoming wealthier in their circle by any means necessary. It doesn't matter whose head they step on. It doesn't matter whose yard has remained flooded. It doesn't matter whose farm is underwater and they have lost a crop. It doesn't matter to them. Because when you make enough noise, depending on your ethnicity, they may give you $1 million or $2. Say, listen, be quiet. Because to them, it's not a big deal. That comes from the treasury.
You know, as we look at the time and you look at the side, because I must apologize to your entire family for taking you away for 1 hour. Just walked in after being away. Oh, guys, please ask them for my forgiveness.
That's okay.
We're wrapping up now. And let us deal with this issue here as we prepare to wrap up. Renessa Hines, a female of African descent. Okay. Ariel Lindy, male of African descent. And this comes right after the protest, and everybody is just kicking up, which is the right thing, that Negro should no longer be used at all. This was just today that these folks are being, these suspects are being described as African descent. This is how it should be, right, Apostle?
I do agree. And I'm privy to Gail Teixeira's utterance. I will seek to address that on a broadcast of mine, because it doesn't seem as if the cabinet understands how to be respectful and how to be remorseful. So Teixeira had to preface her utterance by saying that from 1992 to 1996, the PNC didn't object to certain things, and then Nigel Hughes, being their spokesperson, I'm just paraphrasing here, he suddenly arrived with all this after Kadaki was arrested, and Gail was very disrespectful, dismissive, and typically asinine in her utterance before this was announced. They couldn't say, well, we realize that it's unacceptable to refer to Guyanese of African descent as Negro. And I would like to inform Gail Teixeira that there is no Guyanese I know of who has an issue being called East Indian. So cut the nonsense out. This doesn't fly by me. So they had to add now, we would not call anybody East Indian. When they call themselves East Indian, they claim they came from East India. But I do not call myself a Negro because I know how disrespectful and degrading that is. But Gail had to issue that statement. And before the latter part, Guyanese of African descent, the following descriptions: Guyanese of Indian descent, Guyanese Amerindian. Before that came into play, she had to call Nigel Hughes' name. She had to say that PNC had no problem with it. She had to launch attacks at so many other people, and then say, this is the end here, that recognizing that many Guyanese find the terms Negro and East Indian offensive, that is absolute garbage. I have never met someone of East Indian descent who told me that they have an issue being called East Indian. Never have I met one. I live among them for 6 or 8 years of my life. So I know exactly what I'm telling you. But this is the kind of disrespect we have to deal with. So if Gail Teixeira and others think that this is the end of the matter, yes, we've made noise. And I would like to say we, a body of people, continued to speak to it.
And you're correct. Continue. We thing, a body of people indeed. Ram Singh is saying here, Namaste Ram Singh. Ram Singh is saying here, defining a group as East Indian wasn't offensive.
No.
That is my good friend Ram Singh. Ram, give my regards to your family, my brother. Now, Ram Singh is saying that, but look what the cabinet, according to Gail Teixeira: Guyanese of African descent, Guyanese of Indian descent, Guyanese Amerindian, right? And I thought they changed that to indigenous. So now they've gone right back to Guyanese Amerindian. What's going on with these people? What's happening with these folks?
Right. Or native
Corrupt
Guyanese.
individuals in the PPP.
And do you see the one Guyanese of Portuguese descent? So we're Europeans.
Yeah. Guyanese of Chinese descent. Guyanese of mixed ancestry. Right? These folks are a bunch of vagabonds, but they held, and meanwhile, this, sorry, I don't want to use the term, but this, I wouldn't use the term. But he's quiet. This puppet, he's quiet. You're not surprised, Hicken. Good night. Hicken is quiet. We're not surprised that you're quiet, Clifton. We're not. Are you surprised that he's quiet, Mr. Nigel?
No, he has to be quiet, and he has to remain quiet while Gail Teixeira can speak the nonsense that she does, even about him, because he's included. And he cannot speak unless he is allowed to speak. I would like to advise and hope that Mr. Hicken and others would just develop some chutzpah to say
No, they
that
can't.
enough is enough.
They can do it. They can.
Well,
Speaking of that, now let's go to, as we wrap up. I know your meal getting cold.
it's
This is
okay.
what your food. Bora is Bora, right? Up in Linden. Yeah, let's eat Bora and wild edo leaf.
Yes,
Somebody
not
might
wild little
report.
leaf. It isn't
Somebody
wild.
might send me to the ERC for saying that people in Linden eat wild edo leaf, right?
Not wild.
Apostle, touch on this quickly before we go, because this guy, Leslie Ramsamy, who was a horrible, the worst Minister of Health Ghana has ever had. This is
Ever.
what he said recently. Sheer hypocrisy. Those of us who are calling for getting rid of this word Negro. He said, Ramsamy of all person, possibly a friend of convicted drug lord Roger Khan, and that laptop incident. Now, Ramsamy is saying here that folks said who have a problem with Negro, they call people house slave and soup drinker and all these things. What's the relevance in all of this here, that nonsense Ramsamy is talking about?
I am burdened trying to gather Ramsami's thoughts or gather any sense from his thoughts. Because the slave masters, and I hate using that terminology, they were murderers and criminals. They never called anybody a soup drinker, and neither did they call them in certain contexts house slave as it's used now. But I am saying, speaking for me, I refuse for anyone in this nation or any part of the world to describe me as a Negro, because I know the history attached to the word Negro. Soup drinkers doesn't imply inferiority. It implies a position of one to gain whatever they can through what I describe as whoredom. But you position yourself just to gobble what you can, but you have no moral and genuine conviction to that party. And the PPP is known for being supported by, well, you're not supported by anybody, but you're known for being crowded with soup drinkers. And the terminology house slave, as used by us and many other people, speaks to that which describes many of those of African descent who are in the PPP. Because when you look at the house slave in history and you look at the field slave in history, those who support the PPP, for the greater part, function as the house slaves. They feel as if they are treated better than the field slaves. But that doesn't speak to hypocrisy. It speaks a proper description of how people operate. Because if those who claim to be masters of our country can treat some better than the others, then those who have been treated better because they snitch and they essentially seek to undermine and fight their own people, they are rightly described as house slaves. However, when the state agencies like the Ministry of Health and other people can describe me as a Negro, that is not to be played with. Because I've never seen the Ministry of Health describe anybody as a coolie, and I use that term in reference to this discussion here. I've never seen the Ministry of Health or Ghana Police Force put a man with a sign in front of him saying male coolie. So how you could call me male Negro? It's a good thing to be about a close, but listen, Ramsamy, I will tell you what I told Jagdio, what I told Irfan, what I told Nandlal. Y'all do not ever seek to speak in matters regarding African descendants. Don't do it. You talk about your Indian side. Don't cross the table to talk about me or how I feel about certain terms. I have right to use the term because I am what you call Negro, and for years they called me Negro. I am what they may call a hungry belly dog and all that. So don't go down certain roads with me. Don't seek to speak in matters concerning African descendants. Leave that to us. And still,
Quickly. Starbuck News again. They seem to be on this campaign, this anti-African Guyanese campaign, with a big stuff on Nigel's forehead, calling Nigel a PNC because Nigel is speaking out against this
right?
usage of the term Negro. It's not the first time. Recall a couple of weeks ago there was a cartoon with a young black guy with a gun in his hand, and they're
I remember.
crime. What is your take on why Starbuck News continues with these racist cartoons and messages?
I believe that Guyana is really suffering at the hands of individuals who have got very, very disturbed minds in reference to how they view African descendants. Nigel Hughes did what I consider to be the honorable thing, since his name is out there so much. They said that Kadaki was referred to as a Negro in 2024, which is unacceptable. Now, here you're seeing Starbuck News publishing something of this nature. Paul Harris, I think, is the artist behind it. This kind of behavior in our print media has to be addressed, hopefully by the Ethnic Relations Commission, in a manner that tells them that this has to stop. Because if Cabinet, as terrible as Gary Teixeira would have done, can recognize that there's an issue, could Starbuck News, through its editor and chief, whoever you are, could you not recognize that there's an issue here and that you cannot just take this matter as lightly as you were taking it? What is so difficult in this happening? The young man with the gun in his hand the other day saying, well, let's can he turn to him? He's African, of course. So the black boys don't have nothing to go rob people.
You know, one of the things quickly before we go, Apostle, is that just as I requested that Nigel writes to the ERC concerning the Negro description, I would suggest that you make contact with your namesake, Nigel, and have Nigel write to the ERC on your behalf this time around concerning the racist cartoons coming out of the Starbuck News. Let them go before the ERC to answer it.
I will speak to my namesake, as you call him, because we have that relationship. And I hope that out of this there can be an arising of African descendants across the nation, along with because just like in the civil rights movement in the US, there are many Caucasians or what you call white people who walk with Martin Luther King. I hope that those of Indian descent and others will join us to say that this whole this culture of racism that's coming to us so often from Starbuck News and other places has to stop. Because I do not see this anything else. If you're going to do that to Nigel Hughes, who should be championed at this moment to say, well, listen, you stood for something, you announced something, you made an impact, and there was change through your speech and others who joined in the fight. This is not healthy. And I would reach out to him for us to see how we can have this addressed.
Yep, we've got to address it, but this afternoon they had this town hall, so to speak, public meeting about the usage of the word Negro. I'm told that this meeting is going to be heading in your town, in Linden. Timely, you think, Apostle? For this sort of discussion in Linden?
I hope it will be held in Linden. I'm unaware of that. I hope that I can hear that news sometime soon. But if it were to be held in Linden, I would not be surprised if certain elements are sent as they did last time to try to disrupt this forum. But I'm unaware of this meeting of this nature being held here. But it should be held here. And let those who come here to misbehave, who are sent by Jagdio and others, whoever sends them, I don't know if Jagdio does, but whoever sends them to behave in that manner, let them come and do it again, because it just confirms what was always said about how they conduct themselves, hence the term house slaves.
This was a good turnout today. Nigel used one of the speakers, along with Simona Brooms, Dr. David Hines, the moderator, and Dawn Cush, attorney at law. She also spoke. And there was one other person, but I noticed some members of the audience, Rhonda Lane, and a couple of others. They didn't ask questions, but they went there with some opinions. But this was a good turnout. Congratulations to the guys, all of those who turned out there. Apostle, I know you're hungry. So am I. I just got in as well not so long ago. But please, if you're eating cereal, be careful. Look and ensure that it's not expired. Your closing remarks quickly before we go, sir.
I most certainly shall. And again, I thank you for having me here with you. I look forward to it. You say I'm beginning to feel as if I'm indeed family, because only they have the right to reach out to me at any hour to say, join me here and I do this. But I understand, and I would always speak to the fact that you have remained consistent in championing the cause for justice for every person who requires the same. And I must also congratulate you on your upward swing in reference to the consultancy and so on. I've taken note of it, and I've taken note of the fact that you've taken such great effort to ensure that you are there to yet again, in another capacity, serve people. So I'm really, really impressed and happy to know that you have that drive to, in any way possible, seek to help so many individuals. And finally, I'd say to my Ghanese brothers and sisters, not those who are of African descent only, but all of you who happen to be my brothers and sisters, this is the most opportune time for us to stand as a unit against that which we know to be an unjust, corrupt, and extremely vindictive cabal. This has to stop, and this has to stop as quickly as possible. Again, I say thank you.
Thank you so much. And Rhonda Lane, thank you for the correction. I was told that attorney at law Cush, Don Cush, was not there. I don't know what happened, but thank you, Rhonda. We saw you, we heard you. And Apostle Nigel, we thank you also. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. that is, Wayne Caesar with Over to You. 7 p.m. tomorrow, Wayne Caesar, Over to You. And again, Apostle Nigel, we like him. Apologize to your family, and please heat up that wild.
They understand.
Please do.
It isn't wild. We tame it.
Please do. Thank you, guys. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Apostle.
Bye.
To all of our listeners, we thank you all so much as well. I got to thank Apostle Nigel London. I call him at the last minute, and every time I call him, it's always, or most of the times, it's at the last minute, and he's always. He put aside his wild leaf, and he's ready to rock and roll. Everett Leonard, how are you doing? Annette Cummings, and all of you. R.N. Newton from Buxton, hey, how are you? Cheryl Pancham, Albert Morgan, Taylor Jones, Debbie Collins, Hazel Johnson. And of course, I'm going to tell you guys, Rhonda Lane is one of my favorites, right? She topped the list. She was there this afternoon. You heard Rhonda. Rhonda was doing her thing. Thank you for the representation there, Rhonda. I was told that this meeting is going to be out in Linden. The town hall meeting will be in Linden, and after Linden, it will be in Borbeese and maybe Bartica. Who knows? And maybe we'll have such public meeting on the subject, and even more in the diaspora as well. For now, my name is Mark Benshap, and have a wonderful rest of the night. I will tune in to listen to Wayne Caesar tomorrow, 7 p.m. Wayne Caesar, 7 p.m. Over to you. Thank you, guys, and God bless you. And thanks to all those who made this possible. African descent. I'm told that some folks are saying now it should be Guyanese of African descent as opposed to African descent. And so the victory might just be a halfway victory, but the public engagement will be countrywide public engagement. All right, I'm out of here. And Zamal Hussein, I don't know what allegations that you struck a man, you killed a guy, and the DPP is refusing to charge. I don't know what's going on, but horrible, horrible situation in Guyana under the corrupt PPP regime. They've got to go. We are out of here for now. So long.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Boxer, let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk, body walk, body walk, body walk, truck, body walk, body walk, body walk, body. Listen, body.
Here in Guyana.
Here in Guyana?
You see them advantage why you take for them people and they give some square peg contract and then can't sign them name.
What?
You see them advantage why you take for them people and they give some square peg contract and then can't sign them name. You see what going on with the project them right now? That's what's going on. The project them is they got no standard, cheap material. Some of your contractor them in this region here can't read them right. They can't read on inch in imperial measurement. They will do it in metric. They can't do that. You full them up with contract. They buy tundra, they buy truck, they buy excavator, them start eat food, then get big and fat. You know, them thing wrong. And the people who can do the work, now get the work. None of them mechanics can beat me and my son for work in this region. Bring them up. None of them. And the community knows that, and they're giving us work. And you got them scrapping the government bike, the government tractor. You got them scrapping there. Go to the RDC and you're going to see. What?
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you.
If the man get, you're lucky and kind get. But you can't say that all who get problem again. People who get affected get. Some people get through skullduggery. You understand? Don't give a man go magic 10 times a day and pray. I'm going to check how many he has. You call me to you follow man just. Hey, you follow man. You follow man. I'm going to tell you. The thing is that when I check on the front, he collect a check. You know what? Man, look, man, when I get to me, you understand? And the guard make the man get a check. But the man, I'm free and the man, I do it. So the man was lucky to get.
Zaval inspector talk today. The inspector talk today. Say come inside before you get knocked down. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You alright?
Yeah, man.
Tell Ram Jatan for me.
You can't bring it around. This is not to do politics, boy. This is people human lives.
What US you get there?
Eh?
What million US the man get?
Which one?
What you been tell me?
Which one? Let me tell you.
Ram Jatan.
Let me tell you where you put me in a spot. Where tell you put me in a spot? Me not set up like that, boy. You don't get me. I look after the farmers. I look after Ramjatan. Why look after Ramjatan for? The farmers I look after. Cash crop and farmers, rice farmers. It's your friends, family, and favorites. I get benefit to this government. If you want put this thing, like look, let me start me up.